Standing at the heart of Beijing, the Forbidden City is not just a palace but a miniature universe, a masterpiece of wood and stone born of imperial ambition. Spanning 72 hectares with nearly 9,000 rooms, it is the world's largest wooden complex, built by over 1 million workers across 14 long years of labor. In 1420, the Yongle Emperor declared his vision complete, marking the peak of Ming power. Yet, the original city we see today is not the first one. Just 1 year after its grand inauguration, lightning struck. The 3 main halls were engulfed in flames overnight, turning the emperor's divine declaration into a mountain of ash. Yongle believed the heavens had withdrawn their favor. He never truly recovered from the shock, passing away 3 years later while the smoke of his dream still lingered. But the Forbidden City refused to die. It was rebuilt, then burned again, and rebuilt once more. This is a story of human will defying nature and fate. The echoes of the Son of Heaven still resonate within these walls. It is a story not of eternal stone, but of a spirit that never surrenders. Beneath these golden roofs lies a world designed to diminish the individual. Every step and every tile was crafted to manifest the absolute authority of the emperor. The Hall of Supreme Harmony stands before a vast courtyard that once held 100,000 subjects, all kneeling under the blistering heat of the Beijing sun. Notice the absence of trees or shade. This was no design flaw. It was a tactic to ensure everyone felt exposed before the emperor's divine and absolute presence. Resting upon 3 tiers of white marble, the main hall rises 8 meters high, towering over the city as a physical representation of the celestial hierarchy above. When the emperor sat upon his golden throne, he was not merely in a room, he was perched at the highest point of the entire Chinese worldview. Beneath the hall, 1,142 stone dragon heads wait. They are more than ornaments. They are a sophisticated drainage system for the heavy rains. During storms, water cascades from the dragon's mouths, creating thousands of waterfalls. It appeared as though the heavens were paying tribute through the emperor's own dragons. Inside, massive red columns wrapped in gold leaf stretch toward the ceiling. Light filters through carved screens, illuminating a space where the destiny of millions was decided. The throne is positioned at the exact geometric center of the Forbidden City, which in turn serves as the symbolic heart of the entire capital of Beijing. To the ancient world, the emperor was the pivot of the universe. Every movement here was calculated to reinforce the idea that he was the bridge to heaven. The central staircase, carved from a single slab of stone, was reserved only for the emperor's sedan chair. No other human foot was ever allowed to touch it. Every morning, the silence was broken by the rhythmic march of imperial guards and the somber tolling of bronze bells signaling the start of the court. Behind these layers of white marble, history was forged. Every stone was a pillar for an ideology that claimed one man was chosen to rule all humanity. This architecture did not speak in words. It spoke in scale and symmetry. It was designed to make everyone believe in the inevitability of the emperor's power. But beyond this public display of absolute might lay a hidden world. A world where 24 emperors lived, loved, and suffered in profound golden isolation. Now we cross the threshold into the harem, where the red walls close in and the whispers of history become more intimate and far more dangerous. The inner court is a labyrinth of narrow alleys and high red walls. Here, thousands of souls lived out their lives, many never seeing the outside again. At its height, 9,000 eunuchs and 3,000 maidservants served the imperial family. They were the invisible clockwork that kept the great palace running every day. For most, these walls were the boundaries of their entire existence. Many concubines entered as young girls and grew old without ever leaving this golden cage. The eunuchs created a shadow government, a complex web of influence. Some rose to rival prime ministers, while others perished for knowing too many imperial secrets. Sunlight creates geometric patterns on the floors, mirroring the intricate rules that governed every breath. In this space, even a smile followed a prescribed protocol. The inner court was not a place of silence. It was a theater of whispers, where alliances were formed over tea and destroyed with a single word. Behind these elegant screens, power struggles and poisonings were not uncommon. In 5 centuries, several emperors were rumored to have been eliminated by those closest to them. Each circular moon gate leads to a deeper layer of secrecy. The further one moved into the palace, the more guarded the truth of life became. As night fell, the palace became a different world. Lanterns flickered against red lacquer, casting long shadows of ghosts and memories across the silent, empty courtyards. Poetry written on silk fans tells of the loneliness felt by those forgotten by the emperor. Their beauty was a currency that often lost its value. Despite the grandeur, this was a home. Emperors played with their children and studied the classics, trying to find moments of normalcy within the rigid tradition. The Forbidden City was a monument to glory, but for its inhabitants it was often a prison. Even the Son of Heaven was bound by ancient rules. To understand how this city survived 600 years, we must look at the physical soul of its construction, the materials that could not be easily destroyed. Giant bronze vats, once filled with water, stand ready to fight the fires that constantly threaten the wood. They were the silent guardians of the imperial legacy. But beyond the wood and the paint, the true strength lay in the stone beneath, transported from distant mountains at an incredible human cost to the empire. The 9-dragon wall is a masterpiece of glazed tile and marble. These dragons do not just guard the palace, they represent the eternal energy of China. The marble came from 70 kilometers away. To move stones weighing 200 tons, workers dug wells every few hundred meters to create ice roads in winter. Thousands of men hauled the blocks over the frozen ground for months. Every inch of this palace was bought with the sweat and blood of common people. Look up at the eaves. The complex dougong brackets use no nails. This interlocking wooden system is a marvel of engineering, allowing the buildings to breathe and move. During earthquakes, the dougong acts like a flexible skeleton, absorbing the shock rather than resisting it. It is why these halls still stand after centuries of tremors. Red for joy and power, yellow for the emperor, and blue for the heavens. The Forbidden City is a language of color that every subject was taught. As the sun sets, the white marble terraces turn pink and gold, resembling blocks of jade. Every surface was polished to reflect the glory of the house. The floors are made of golden bricks, fired for months. They are laid in 15 alternating layers to prevent anyone from tunneling into the palace from below. This architectural paranoia is etched into every stone. Even the ground was designed to be impenetrable, a safeguard against the unseen enemies of the imperial state. Small mythical creatures march along the roof ridges. The more figures on a roof, the higher the status. They were the celestial protectors against evil and fire. Fierce bronze lions guard the entrances, their eyes wide and watchful. They symbolize the strength of the dynasties, standing eternal against the passage of time. Ancient bronze incense burners once filled the air with fragrant smoke, blurring the line between the earthly court and the realm of gods during holy ceremonies. The perfect symmetry of the central axis represents the order the emperor brought to the world. Any deviation was seen as a threat to imperial stability. Artisans spent years carving a single balustrade. Their names are lost to history, but their mastery remains, frozen in the cold, white veins of the marble. But even in this world of rigid stone and order, there was a place for the wildness of nature, the imperial garden, where the rules softened. The imperial garden is a landscape of twisted rocks and ancient trees. These cypress trees have stood here since before the city was even built. They are the only living witnesses to the rise and fall of 24 emperors. They watched the ceremonies of the past and now watch the tourists. It was here that Puyi, the last emperor, spent his lonely childhood. In 1908, as a 2-year-old boy, he was carried into this labyrinth of power. Puyi did not choose his fate. He remembered crying during his coronation, surrounded by thousands of kneeling men while he just wanted to go home. The pavilions here are less formal, designed for poetry and reflection. But for Puyi, they were the borders of a world he was never allowed to leave. In 1912, at just 6 years old, Puyi signed his abdication. With a single stroke, 2,000 years of imperial rule came to a sudden end, and he remained for 12 more years as a hollow emperor, living in the past while the world outside transformed into a modern Republic of China. In 1924, soldiers arrived at his door. He was given only 2 hours to leave. The gates he never crossed were finally opened for his departure. Puyi left the Forbidden City with a single suitcase and a heart full of uncertainty. The Son of Heaven was now a man without a home. The very next day, the Forbidden City opened its gates to the public. For the first time, common people could walk where only gods had stepped. The mandate of heaven had ended, and the mystery of the red walls was revealed to the world for the price of a simple entrance ticket. As the sun dips below the horizon, the 8,800 rooms are bathed in orange light. The palace looks as it did centuries ago, yet everything changed. Puyi's journey did not end at the gates. He became a puppet ruler, a prisoner of war, and eventually a common citizen of the new China. By 1959, the man who was once the center of the universe was working as a simple gardener, watering plants for a modest government salary. His co-workers had no idea that the man beside them had once sat on the dragon throne. He found a strange peace in the simple, ordinary life. Today, 19 million visitors flock to the Forbidden City every year. It is the most visited museum on Earth, a testament to our fascination with grandeur. In 1962, Puyi returned to the Forbidden City as a tourist. He had to buy a ticket to enter the house where he had grown up. He stood before the Hall of Supreme Harmony in silence. No longer an emperor or a prisoner, he was finally just a man looking at his past. The Forbidden City survived 14 great fires, foreign invasions, and revolution. It stands not because it is invincible, but because we chose to keep its story. Every generation finds a new reason to preserve these red walls. They are a mirror reflecting the heights of human ambition and our shared history. The power of the emperors has vanished into the autumn mist, but the grandeur of their aesthetic order remains, echoing through the halls of time. Is absolute power real, or just a story? The Forbidden City offers no answers, only its silent golden presence under the vast and eternal sky.